I am live. Okay. Sorry about that. Never mind. Just disregard. Okay. So, how are you doing today? I want to tell a little story about when I was just a little kid, like, I don't know, 10 years old or something like that. My mom wanted me to play an instrument. I didn't want to play an instrument, but she's like, "You're playing an instrument. What would you like to play?" I was like, drums. That was the only thing I wanted to play. And she's like, "No, honey, you can't play drums." I'm like, "Why can't I play drums?" She's like, "Because you're a girl and girls don't play drums." I'm like, "What?" Didn't even make sense. And I'm talking about like 55 years ago, right? And it was like, how is it possible that I knew back then that that was a crazy statement? I don't know, but I knew. So even though she couldn't tell me like why, other than, well, that's just the way it is. So pick a different instrument. I ended up having to pick a different instrument. And I ended up choosing, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my screen all set up because it's crazy when you're doing this like this. So I think I'm good now. So anyway, she could not tell me anything other than, well, it's just the way it was. And I was still frustrated with, I don't understand why I can't play the drums. We fought back and forth, and eventually no, I didn't. My mom ended up deciding for me that I was going to play piano. And somehow she convinced my dad to, I guess, spend the money so that I would have piano lessons. So I was going to piano lessons once a week, every week for a while. And about 3 months in, the teacher asked my mom if she could speak to her privately. So they shuffled me off to the car, and I didn't know what they were talking about, and I didn't really find out till later. But my piano teacher says, "Does Deb practice?" And I know this because, like, I don't know, 20 years later, my mom shared it. She says, "Does Deb practice the piano?" And my mom's like, "Yes, she practices every week. She comes here to be with you." And the piano teacher's like, "She needs to practice every day." And my mom's like, "Oh." And so they figured out ways that that would be possible. And my mom ended up, I guess, convincing my dad that I needed to do it, to practice every day at home. So I remember this one day, I knew nothing of this conversation. I just know that one day I happened to look out of the big window and we see this van pull up. This is like big, exciting stuff because, it was pretty boring growing up. So I was looking out the window like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I had no clue. And the men, the movers, they roll this piano out of the van, still not making sense to me, and they roll it up into the house. And I don't know what this is about. You would think I would, but I didn't make that connection. And because I didn't know, I didn't have the luxury of that conversation. But they were asking my dad, where does he want the piano? He's telling him, and then he turns around and he bends over with that hand on his shoulder and that finger wagging in my face, and he's yelling at me. "I don't know why I'm doing this. You're never going to amount to anything. This is just a waste of my money." And he just was screaming at me. And I just remember feeling very small, very hurt, and really completely confused. Like I had no idea why this was going on. And so I ended up just accidentally or whatever, looking over at the two movers, and the looks on their faces, just sheer shock on their faces as well. I knew that this was not normal. That whatever he was screaming about, like, it just really didn't have anything to do with me, but I didn't understand that. So I want to be clear that even though my dad was verbally abusive, emotionally abusive, psychologically abusive, physically abusive, and I definitely lived under the threat of physical abuse a lot more often than I got a spanking or with a belt. Overall, he was a good man, and I know that he did the best that he could do. He just didn't have a lot to work with, inside of himself. And I know that he lived with a lot of emotional pain, and it affected him. And then, of course, that trickles down and it affected us. So from his parents to him to us, and I think that goes like that in a lot of families. But I don't harbor any ill will to him now. There was something that happened, and that shifted right? And so I no longer have any ill will toward him, but it was there for a very long time. It was very painful. And I was angry for a very long time. And I felt sad for a very long time. A lot of emotional pain. And I just remember one day going, I just want to be happy. Why is that so hard? And then I spent like the next 4 decades trying to figure out, why is it so hard? And I began to realize over time that it's not my partner's job and it's not my job and my regular job's job to make me happy. And I went to therapy, and it wasn't really their job. They helped, and I read books and it helped, and I learned modalities like meditation, yoga, journaling, Reiki, healing touch. I mean, just lots of different things. And it's not their job to make me happy. And all these things helped, but nothing satisfied that happiness. I mean, sometimes for a little while, but not genuinely the happiness. It was just always something missing. And I don't know about you, but maybe you felt this way too. Like you think that that book or that course or that video or that friend or that partner or that new house or whatever is going to make you happy. And it does for a little bit. And then you go back to that feeling that there's something missing or you want something more. So as I did my research, which I've been doing it for probably 35, 40 years now, I've noticed many women feeling some sense of either something's missing or wanting something more. I was like, why is this? And I discovered that our culture models the actions for women to take. It's like women shouldn't have strong emotions. Oh, you'll be made fun of. You'll be ridiculed. Oh, are you on your period? Wow, you're so hormonal, crazy bitch. Just, it's like, what's going on? And if you ask me, what I now see is every bit of our behavior is always trying to get validation, respect, and appreciation. Because even when we should have gotten it, because what we did was good, that was seen as or experienced as a threat. And so the tables were turned, and it was shifted in a way to turn us off, to squelch our beautiful feminine energy and feminine power. And the messages were, turn it off, keep it off, turn your feelings down, turn off your sensitivity, it's too much, don't have compassion for yourself. There's too many other people, take care of them, you don't worry about yourself. Definitely don't experience any of your own sensuality, because you'll be called names, whore, prostitute, slut, horrible names, right? Turn it off, turn it off, turn it all off, turn off your emotions, your feelings, everything, right? So we do this to try to find some freedom in compliance. If we can't experience ourselves as a whole, as the whole of who we are, we shut down and we comply with that stuff, and then we try to find some freedom within that. So there's the, I guess, the sense of the feminine, the traditional feminine role model that's lasted for a very, very long time. I stepped into that role model. I thought I was independent, or a superwoman, as we used to call ourselves. Like we could do everything. We can have our freedom and we can be independent and have a job. But, I took care of the things inside the house. And it was like cooking, cleaning, taking care of the child. I fixed his breakfast. I fixed his lunch. I went on the outings and the field trips for the schools. I did the play dates. I was helped out with the room mom. The groceries, the cooking, cleaning, I mean, you name it. It was everything. I don't really even know how I did it, but I did do it, right? But it didn't have much happiness. I mean, I was trying to make myself happy, but I know if things didn't go like, just so, and I wasn't appreciated, I'd be shaming and blaming these other people. So, hi, you guys. I see you on there. So if you would just let me know that you're here, put hashtag live So I'll know that you're here. If you're watching the replay, put hashtag replay and let me know where you're from. So that would be nice to just get an idea of that. So to get back to trying to be superwoman and everything to everyone, except myself, even though I was trying to find happiness, it was like no matter what I did, no matter how much I accomplished, I just never felt worthy. I never felt deserving or lovable, and it was quite challenging. Patty Mays, hi. Oh, Southern California loving me. I love you guys too. So anyway, time went on. My child grew up, left for college, divorced the husband, remarried, divorced again, and full transparency, in total, I've been married and divorced 3 times. And all 3 of those times were, I just call it my before life, which I'll talk about in a minute. But, what is it that I wanted? I wanted happiness, but not just to be happy, like surfacey. I wanted the deep inner happiness. I mean, I had anything but that, right? I had a lot of things like the finances looked good. I had a nice house, a nice car, and everything like that. But there was that inner missing, that inner, I didn't know what to call it. I didn't know what it was. I knew that I wanted to be happy, but I didn't know how to say, hey, how do I get happy? Like, how do you ask for that, right? So I began to realize that being genuinely happy is more than just a want. It's really a need. And when that need is suppressed, just a lot of upset comes up. So I can understand why I would be angry because I'm not getting my needs met to be happy, right? I can understand why I was anxious about things like other people were doing things, but I had like no control. And so in order to help myself, I try to control. Not good to do, right? So what is it that you do? What do you do? Like, do you just try to figure it out? Do you try to just let it go? Do you try to just give it to a higher power? Do a modality? Do you just succumb to the status quo? I wondered, what is wrong with me where I can look at other people and go, wow, they just seem so happy, but I'm not. So what's my problem? So like I said, I finally figured out what I was yearning for and what I was driven to find and what that something more was. And it was something that had, like I said, been missing all my life. And it was that happiness, that genuine happiness, and that I couldn't depend on anyone or anything to make me happy. And there was something else that I didn't know that I wanted or needed until I found it. Was that interesting? And it was this getting to know this unexplored power inside of me, these hidden strengths that we all have inside of us that just haven't been tapped into. And when I say haven't been tapped into, it's kind of like, I'll use it like a math. As you do math, right? You go to that next level and that next level and the next level. It's like you don't know geometry and algebra and calculus, right? But if you take that class, you learn it, right? And so it's like that's what's going on inside of us. There's these other parts of us that we've not been taught about. And so what happened was, as I tapped into these hidden strengths through learning about them, information, and some skills, oh my gosh, things really, really started to change. I found more meaning, purpose, fulfillment in my life. And something happened as I learned this accumulation of information and skills. It's like I quit this driven behavior. This yearning that I had was like dissipating and going away. It's like, oh, I found it. I didn't know what to call it at the time, but it was like that something more that I've been looking for. I found it. So what I do now is I teach women how to find your deepest intuition, your voice, how to honor and validate your feelings and your needs, and how to stand up for your truth and not be afraid to speak up, because When you learn the information and skills that I'm talking about, there's a confidence and a clarity that comes with it, so that speaking your truth no longer is a fearful thing to do. You find your voice and your power. And it's not about taking over or dominating, but it's just about speaking what you believe is the absolute truth. So I teach women to say yes to themselves and how to prioritize their joy, not specifically to the expense of others, but to include themselves in what it is to be joyous in their lives, and how to make that investment in your own life, the investment of you for you. Okay? So life isn't just about what we seem to have been culturally taught, that you grow up and you've got responsibility and obligation. And it is true, we need to have responsibility and obligation, but not just to other people, to ourselves as well. So if you're one of the people who are like, when's my time? Your time can be now if you want it to be. That's a choice that you get to make. So it's, like it's easy to be of service to other people, but it's not necessarily easy to give that same service to ourselves. It's not necessarily easy to find the compassion and the empathy and the kindness and the loving and the forgiveness for ourselves. For ourselves. So if you're saying that you've got confidence and patience and happiness and empathy for yourself, good for you. I am happy for you. It's a great place to be. If you're saying, not so much, I invite you to take some time and ask yourself some questions, serious questions. And I invite you to really take some time, go away, close yourself off, whatever, and answer these questions for yourself. What would genuinely make you happy? What would make you happy? I think I'm going to save my answer for another video, because I would love to not sway your thoughts oh yeah, that, me too, but you just maybe ask the questions for yourself. So what would make you genuinely happy? What is it that you want for yourself? I mean, you can have things for other people too, but what do you want for yourself? What is needed to make it happen? What needs to happen for you to get this thing that you want? Maybe take some time to sit with that. I didn't even know that it was possible to be so genuinely happy or have such deep peace, contentment. I call it JPLH. It's joy, peace, love, and happiness. I really did not know that it was possible my whole life. But now that I've got the training that I've gotten, I realize it's very possible to have these things and more. So I will post the questions. Hi, Vicki. Aw, thank you. Did I love playing the piano? I hated it, but later on I learned how to play again. I hated that I had to practice and it wasn't fun. Thank you for asking about that. We later got a organ, a big organ, and the notes had numbers on them, and you could put the numbers on the keys, and it was way more fun that way. I learned how to play Smoke on the Water. That was my favorite one. Thank you so much for asking that question. So the questions that I was asking for you guys to ask yourselves is, what would make you genuinely happy? What do you want for yourself? And what's needed to make that happen? And I don't know if I said it or not. I can't remember, but I'm happy to post those questions in the comment section after the video's over. And if you are looking for some answers, oh, I thought I had it right here. It is. If you're looking for some answers, I don't know if you're interested, but if you want, I did write a book. It's called I Just Want to Be Happy. Right here it says 6 Steps to Living Your Best Life. There's some really personal stories in there, and I was just being very vulnerable and sharing my life because I felt that it was really important. But it's up to you guys. Buy it if you want, don't if you don't. It's on Amazon. I think that I'll just include that link as well. So if you're ready to make a difference in your own life, if you're ready to find that other something that's uplifting and inspiring and engaging and definitely supportive to you, your loved ones, and your friends, grab my book, find out some more, send me an email, we'll have a chat. And if, you may just be missing some of these very specific this information and skills that just teaches you how to tap into your hidden strengths. They're already there. It's just, it takes the information to unlock that door. So let me know if you're up for that. Anyway, my name's Debbie Pearson, helping you become more awesome on the inside. Until next time, you guys.